We're going to start. Thank you. We're going to start with a few words about how we use the tech. So I can ask. Is it you, Stephen, who's going to do this? Would you like me to?
Oh, I can. What is this? The microphone?
Yes, yeah. I'm happy to. Oh, there you go.
So these new microphones. Do you want? It will turn green. Press the actual symbol.
Hello. Testing. I think it's working.
No. Good afternoon, Susie. Can you start the broadcast and let us know when once it's started? Thank Thank you, Susie.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the annual meeting of Council. I'm Councillor Catherine Keats-Rowan, and I will be chairing the beginning of this meeting. Next to me is my current Vice Chair, Councillor Andrea Powell. I have a few housekeeping announcements. Evacuation procedure. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the building by the nearest exit, which is the staircase at Assembly Point 9, in the outside area beyond the fire exit. Officers will assist with any evacuation. Listen to the debate in silence. Mobile phones, please can everyone ensure that their mobile telephones are switched to silent during the meeting. For votes on items, I will initially ask Council if the issue can be agreed. I will pause to allow councillors to indicate whether they would like a vote, recorded vote, or to move to an alternative. Use of microphones. Before speaking, please tap the base of the microphone until the light turns green and then speak. Please be aware that the microphones are sensitive to sound and will pick up any noise. Right, if we've all got our microphones off apart from me, I will proceed to review my year as chair. I have carried out a range of activities as chair during 2025 to 2026, beginning with a delightful networking dinner hosted by the County Lieutenancy and the Archdeaconry at Dorchester Abbey on the 20th of May, 2025. Visits have ranged from community-based groups like the amazing Shed Quarters in Sonning Common, the Christchurch Centre Henley, which runs everything from a creche and a dementia day centre to an arts group under the same roof, the remarkable volunteers of Home Start Didcot, who give up their time to support families to navigate the difficulties around early parenthood, and Wallingford Sports Club, which opened a new MUGA benefiting its young hockey players. Children from different primary schools came together in groups of 5 schools for 2 hours before performing in concert at Dorchester Abbey as part of the annual Nape Festival. They were sensational. A meeting of Muslim parents and children came together in Didcot to discuss forming the first Muslim Scouts Didcot group on the 17th of January. At the Scouts St George's Day in April, I heard that they were already well established. Groups like the Scouts and Guides are invaluable for the development of young people. I've also been extremely impressed by the young members of the various cadet groups, including the armed forces and police. The dedication of the volunteers who run these groups all deserve thanks and congratulations. Music by very talented children featured in the moving music concert at Dorchester Abbey, which is a series designed with dementia sufferers, among others, and their carers in mind, inviting participation as well as listening. Care homes are very keen to network with each other and their wider communities for the benefit of residents' quality of life and to share understanding of issues like dementia and Parkinson's disease. Equally valuable for networking are the various civic services which celebrate their communities and reveal that we all face similar issues and that sharing experience and knowledge could be good for everyone. Then there are solemn events like the Remembrance Day services. I attended Wallingford's as usual, but was particularly moved by the Didcot service, which started with a parade up Broadway lined with onlookers. Didcot civic pride and community is palpable in its events, and its new mayor, Councillor David Ruane, is rightly proud of it. Mention must also be made of the Holocaust Memorial Day, bridging the generations, asking us never to forget, at Oxford Town Hall on the 27th of January. Attending the opening of the UK AEA Visitor Centre at Culham campus led to an invitation of a recent councillor tour of Culham highlights, such as the tokamak facility and RACE, the robotics facility, and a meeting with an eclectic group of apprentices, prefaced by a very informative presentation on fusion. I attended many fundraising events held by chairs of other councils and thanked them in turn for supporting mine. Finally, my 2 events raising money for my charities were both enjoyable and well attended. The first was a dinner on the 27th of February at Wallingford's Dolphin Pub, which is a much-loved community pub that has just won the Best Green King Pub Award. The second was a concert by the Rock Choir in Dorchester Abbey on the 28th of March. This was a truly unforgettable occasion for everyone involved. Fittingly, since it has featured so often in the year, the Abbey became a proxy third charity since we had to sell enough tickets to raise the higher fees of £1,800 before anything else. The totals raised for each charity were first £2,522.16 for Style Acre and for Wygod Way Family Centre £3,452.86. Both Emma Cox from the Dolphin and Kelsey Proctor from Wygod Way have been recognised for their community work by attending a Royal Garden party this month. It has been an honour and a privilege to represent the Council, first as Vice Chair, then as Chair. I'm grateful for the support of my Vice Chair, Councillor Powell, and fellow councillors, and of officers, of whom special mention goes to recently retired Chair's PA, Karen Dodd, and to Nick Bennett and Stephen Corrigan. I take this opportunity to wish Stephen all the best for his imminent retirement, and you'll be hearing more about that later. Thank you. Correction, my charity, I always do this, my charity was Sue Ryder, not Style Acre. Just a correction for the record. Thank you, Councillor Powell. Yeah. Anyway, we proceed. Now we proceed to the election of the new chair. I call for nominations for the election of chair of the councillor. Councillor Bennett will propose.
I would like to propose Councillor Powell, as she's sat right there and she looks ready for the job.
Right. Is that seconded? Councillor Philip Rivers. Do you want to say something, Councillor Bennett?
Well, as I said, I don't think there's too much to add apart from Andrea is well known to everybody, very fair, a calm presence, so I'm sure she'll, and also she's well known across the district, and I'm sure she will really make the most of the fundraising role. And congratulations to you, by the way, Councillor Keats Rowan, for all of your work. And I'm sure Andrea will be trying to do a similarly good job. And I actually don't know which charity she's going to choose, so I'm excited to hear if she's decided yet.
Maggie, briefly.
Yes, if I can get the microphone on. Yeah, so I'm thrilled that Councillor Powell has put herself forward for this role. I'm sure it's not a huge surprise given the seat she currently occupies. But I have known Andrea since the very beginning of initially the partnership and obviously into this administration. And she is a wonderfully pragmatic and incredibly knowledgeable councillor. And I hear a really excellent ward councillor as well. So I'm sure she will represent this council really, really well.
Thank you. So a motion is now before the council that Councillor Powell is elected as chair of the council for the 2026-27 municipal year until the next annual meeting of the council in May 2027. Are there any other nominations? Right. Right. Okay. Well, we've already done the speeches, so can we agree the motion? I think you're allowed to vote for yourself.
Oh my! Oh, good.
I therefore declare, that Councillor Powell is duly elected as chair of the council for the 2026-27 municipal year until the next annual meeting of the council in May 2027.
I'll pass you the oath if you can sign and read it out loud.
I, Andrea Powell, having been elected to the office of Chair of South Oxfordshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you very much. Before I make my official acceptance speech, I'd like to present Councillor Catherine Keats-Rohan with past chair badge for her in recognition of her excellent service to the district in the past year.
Thank you.
Shuffle over. Well, thank you, members, for your vote of confidence and for your support. Having served as Vice Chair for the past year, I am very honoured to be following in Councillor Keats-Rohan's footsteps and representing the Council at formal and informal events throughout this next municipal year, particularly in this final year before the transition to unitary authorities. I'd also like to recognise a former chair who is here tonight, who was made chair 30 years ago this week, which is Councillor Cooper. So there's a testament to her long service and dedication to this community, this district. Congratulations to you too. But I would like to pay tribute to Catherine for her commitment and hard work over the past year, despite significant health challenges. And I'm sure she's looking forward to being able to recuperate in rather less stressful circumstances. The charities I've chosen to support in my municipal year are Styleacre, and Cycling Without Age Oxfordshire. Established in 1995, Styleacre now supports 275 adults with learning difficulties and/or autism in supportive, creative and dynamic environments that allow them to fulfil their potential and live the life they choose. Its headquarters can be found in my ward on the Howbury Park Business Park in Cromarsh, and it supports people across our district and the rest of Oxfordshire. By contrast, Cycling Without Age Oxfordshire is very much in its start-up phase in our local area, although CWA is a global movement that was founded 13 years ago in Copenhagen and now operates in 41 countries worldwide. Its aim is to provide joy and vitality to older adults through the magic and simplicity of the bicycle. Trained pilots use adapted e-trikes to take care home residents or socially isolated individuals out to enjoy social interaction and to improve their well-being by feeling the wind in their hair. CWA operates locally from hubs in Wallingford, Cholsey, Didcot and Benson. You will, I'm sure, be pleased to hear that you will all soon have the opportunity to support my charities, as I will be taking part in a 66-mile bike ride across Dartmoor on the 20th of June to raise funds for these two causes. And a link to the fundraising page will be circulated shortly. I'm also delighted that Mick Heath from CWA is here with us this evening, and he will be pleased to talk to members about his wonderful organisation after the meeting. And Anne-Marie Hicks from Styleacre will be able to join us at the next council meeting, so you'll have a chance to meet her and talk to her about what Styleacre gets up to in the community. So, without further ado, let's get on with the meeting. Agenda item 2 is the appointment of a vice chair. Please may I have nominations for the appointment of a vice chair of the council? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations. I would like to nominate Councillor David Rain as Vice Chair of the Council for 2026-27. Do you want me to say some words now?
Just a moment. Is that seconded? Councillor Bennett, thank you. So a motion before Council is that Councillor Owain is elected as Vice Chair of the Council for the 2026-2027 municipal year until the next annual meeting of Council in May 2027. Are there any other nominations? I see none. So would the proposer now like to speak to your proposal?
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Rain is the reason that I'm a member of this council, speaking frequently behind the goal at Didcot Town Football Club, having to put up with me shouting at people wearing black uniforms on the pitch. David is very patient. David speaks up for the vulnerable, he speaks up for the seldom heard, and he speaks up for those most in need of support. I've known David for over 30 years. He's been speaking up for people around the world in that time, and he's been speaking up for the people of Didcot. And now he will be the voice of, the face of, and the spirit of everyone here in South Oxfordshire. I'm very, very proud to be able to nominate David. Thank you.
Gosh. Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak also?
Yeah, not just to add, I mean, when some of us first got elected onto this council in 2019, I was thrown onto the cabinet with Councillor Powell and Councillor Ruane and got to know him well and became accustomed to his famous dry sense of humour, but he will also be a very calm presence. I don't know which is the yin and the yang between him and Andrea, but they will, I think, form a great double act representing the district around for the next year. The only thing is, will he be wearing both chains at once? And has he may need some help with carrying them all of his chains. But provided he's happy with that, I'm happy to support it. Yeah, I'm sure all of the group will be very happy to support.
Lovely. Council, can we agree this motion? David? Congratulations. I therefore declare that Councillor Ruane is duly elected as Vice Chair of the Council for the 26-27 municipal year until the next annual meeting of the Council in May 2027. Would you like to come and join me?
Councillor Hinton.
Oh, Councillor Hinton, I'm sorry. Oh.
Here, I forget. I don't have to stand here, do I? I'd just like to say that I kind of missed the bit where we all get to speak, because as I was incoming chair and vice chair, and as I was outgoing chair, some of you said the most wonderful words to me that meant so much. And certainly we as an HRG had prepared a few words for all three of you. So I'd just like to say that we didn't not speak because we don't support you, actually. I'm sure we're quite happy to tell you at refreshments after. Sandwichgate, we're not mentioning. But I just wanted to say that we had planned to speak, and we will tell you after the meeting. And I hope that next time, I know there might not be too many more of these, but I hope that we bring that back, because
Yeah. Invite further comments.
Yes, you are absolutely right, and I invite further comments from other members of the council should they choose to make
can I
them.
kick us off now?
Councillor Hinton, please kick us off. Oh no. We'll just get Councillor Rain up to the top table, and others can prepare their comments. Sorry. Going to formally do on you.
Thank you, Stephen. Can we get you to put that on the side, please? Thank you.
Just read my declaration before we get into the next bit. I, David Ruane, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of South Oxfordshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties in accordance to the best of my judgment and ability.
Lovely. Okay. Councillor Hinton, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there we are.
Okay, no, and I won't. So, Catherine, I would like to just say a few words about your year, because as you came in, some might have said that you had a tough act to follow.
That was my comment.
That was actually, I did steal that from Ken, obviously. But actually, I'd just like to say thank you to you, Catherine, on behalf of HRG, for being a fair and reasonable chair. And Ken and I would particularly like to thank you for ensuring refreshments are available after tonight's meeting. On a more serious note, congratulations on such a successful year representing SODC and our entire district. We really hope that you enjoyed your year as well, and judging from what you said tonight, it's clear to see that you did. It's definitely been busy, considering your commitments with the OALC and with Wallingford Town Council as well. So no doubt, despite this, you'll be reluctant to rest with all your community activities. So thank you very much. I didn't know if anyone else wanted to speak about on that, but then we have some words about other people.
Oh,
No.
Councillor Khan?
Yes, thank you. I've just got a few words for each of you. First one to Councillor Keats Rohan in terms of being chair. You clearly had a very busy year and you clearly put a lot of hard work and effort into it, and we respect you for that, and you deserve the credit. One of the things I certainly would like to say is you have, one of the things I really am positive about, you've made the council meetings very interesting and dramatic. So thank you for that. That really helped. In terms of Councillor Powell, I know you're going to be a great chair. Yes, you're going to be a great representative for the council and for the district, and you've chosen a great charity, Starlaker. So I applaud you for that. And Councillor Rowan, this is probably showing my age, but you've now got more chains than Mr. T. So, and again, you know what other people have said in terms of what you do for Didcot. So I'm very pleased that you're going to be a representative of Didcot and being the vice chair. So thank you.
Just checking, did Councillor Arlott wish to say anything? Or we're going to pass to Councillor Snowden first? Right.
Well, I didn't have the advanced knowledge that the HRG had about who was going to be nominated to be the next chair, so I couldn't write any words about Councillor Ruane because I'm not in the inner circles of HRG and the Liberals. But I would say one thing now. I would change my word a little bit now that I've discovered from Councillor Morgan that you're responsible for him being here. Obviously, we've not seen eye to eye on everything, but we've had some entertainment, haven't we? And I'm sure you'll do very well at representing the council, which it's clear that you are passionate about. Councillor Powell. Chair is supposed to be independent, so I'm not sure about the choice of blouse colour going forward. If you could be just a little bit more impartial, that would be appreciated. But we've been to events, the Oxford Wildlife. That was a wonderful thing that we both went to, and I know how hard. Well, I don't know how hard it is, but I can imagine how hard it is being chair, because I would never. I'm glad no one nominated me from my group. So I appreciate Councillor Keats Rowan, because of obviously I did the walk with you, didn't Didcot Remembrance Sunday, so that was just one of the events that you went to, so I can appreciate how much work went into being your year as chair. So I appreciate the work that all three of you do, work done, work going to be done. So thank you.
Yes, Chairman, I'd just like to It was good to see. It was good to see Andrea was totally clapped in at the start of the meeting. I just hopefully in 12 months' time she won't be clapped out, and I'm sure she won't be. According to Kelly, you're an avid visitor to Henley-on-Thames, so we'd obviously like to see you there as much as possible. There's always a cup of coffee somewhere. So we as HRG wish you all the best for your year, and I'm sure you will represent the district excellently. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. As you will have heard, I've been around for quite a long time, and I would just like to thank all those involved, in particular Catherine for the years that she's done. And I must admit my year as chair has been one of the most interesting and fulfilling years I've ever spent on this council. So I think I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'm sure Andrea will, and hopefully in due course David as well. So I thank you all and wish you all the best of luck for the coming year as well. So enjoy the year, and I'm sure you will represent us very well and very fairly. Thank you.
Okay, right. But after all those nice words, I think normal service can be resumed now. Oh, and were you going to say something? Go on then.
I just
Councillor
realised I hadn't, for the Greens, thanked Catherine specifically because, and I also wanted as a board member, include for Dawn, just to thank her for bringing the rock choir to the Abbey. I did attend that event, and it was great to see. When you said you were doing that as your main event, I was nervous because it is big. It's a big space, and I was thinking, how is this going to be filled? But with your supporters, you did manage it. So congratulations for that, and thank you for also raising funds for the Abbey in the process, as well as your charities. That was all I wanted to add. So thanks, Catherine.
Right, let's move on then. So next item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Oh, I've already made a mistake. The vice chair is to make an acceptance speech.
Yeah, as has been pointed out as the Jacob Marley of South Oxfordshire now, I will keep things brief. And the role of vice chair is to buy drinks for the chair, I think, and keep her propped up while she fulfills her duties, which I hope I'll be able to manage. So thank you for everyone.
Right, I think we are now ready to move on. So item 3 on the agenda is apologies for absence. I've received apologies for absence from councillors Barker, Bretherton, Gregory, James Laurie, Rob, Mohammed and Higgins. Are there any other apologies? Thank you. Item 4 is minutes. Council is asked to adopt and agree for me to sign as a correct record the minutes of the council meeting held on the 12th of February 2026. Please can I have a proposer to adopt them as a correct record? Councillor Philip Rivers, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Keats-Rowan, thank you. Councillor, can we agree minutes last meeting? Thank you. Okay, item 5, declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests. Are there any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests and any conflicts of interest in respect of items on the agenda for this meeting? No. Okay. Urgent business and chair's announcements. My first announcement, you might be wondering why there's a cup on the table in front of me. Councillor Dragonetti and I, along with Councillor Patel from the Vale of White Horse Council, attended the Oxford City Mayor's fundraising charity quiz earlier this year. We formed a team with 2 members of the public who just happened to be passing at the time. And we had a slight, a bit of inside, well, it wasn't insider, we had a bit of help also, Councillor Upton's husband, Councillor Upton being the mayor of Oxford City at the time. Anyway, we named ourselves the Ridgeway Rebels, which we thought was an appropriate name given our slight differences with Oxford City Council on local government reorganisation. And I'm pleased to tell you that we won. So this is the trophy we will be defending next year. The other announcement I'd like to make tonight is the following. I'd like to take a moment to recognise someone who has given many years of outstanding service to this council. Stephen Corrigan began his career at the Foreign Office, including time working overseas in Cyprus, before a brief spell at West Berkshire. He joined our councils in 1998 in democratic services. From that point forward has been a trusted presence at the heart of our decision making. More recently, in 2024, he was appointed as the council's returning officer. So, Stephen, on behalf of all members, I would like to thank you for your many years of dedicated service and wish you a long, happy and very well-deserved retirement. No, Ken, I didn't forget. So moving on to item 7, our agenda, public participation. I understand we have no registered speakers for this evening's meeting. So next item is item 8, appointments to committees, panels and joint committees for 2026-2027. Council is asked to appoint those committees and joint committees required to be politically balanced, together with the Joint Climate and Nature Advisory Committee, the Licensing Acts Committee and the Grants Panel. The report also invites Council to make appointments to joint bodies. Committee memberships have been provided by the group leaders and are before all members this evening. I think you have copies of all the recommendations and the report in front of you. It was also circulated by email earlier today. Are there any questions on the recommendations? Please could I have a proposer to adopt the recommendation? Councillor Philippa-Rivers. And is this seconded? Councillor Morgan, thank you. Is there any debate? Would you like to make some comments?
Yes, just some really brief comments. So just it was on, sorry. SEAC has been slimmed down because it is now a joint committee with the Vale of Whitehorse, and as such there has been some changes there. Even up to earlier today there were some movements in terms of appointments. So just to feel reassured that there is a delegation there that we can appoint people to where there are vacant posts. So don't worry about this not being 100%. Really? I thought you said they were really sensitive.
I think you're too close to them.
Too close to it. Oh, okay. And you will probably notice as well that currently there's no vice chair of planning. I believe there will be a couple of nominations there, so we're going to let planning committee decide who the vice chair will be. So that's it. Hopefully you can support it, and if there are any major red flags, let me know, and we can address it later.
Is there any debate on this motion? Recommendation? Nope. Okay. Can we agree the recommendation before us?
Agreed.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, thank you. We move on to item 9, which is the appointment of electoral registration officer and returning officer. Should just say before we introduce this item, if there is to be any debate on the item, we would ask the Chief Executive, Adriana Partridge, to leave for that debate, but there may not be any, so we'll make that decision when we come to it. Yes. So this item concerns the appointment of the electoral registration officer and returning officer following the retirement of the current post holder. The Director of Legal and Democratic recommends that Council appoint Adriana Partridge, Chief Executive, as the Council's electoral registration officer and returning officer with effect from the 1st of June 2026, and that Susan Baker continues to be designated as Deputy Electoral Registration Officer. Would the Leader of the Council like to introduce this item and move the recommendation?
Hopefully my microphone works. It's really bad if it doesn't, because I have a very long leaders report. So yeah, nothing really further to add to what has been said there. Just important to have one. Obviously, we'll have elections next year. So I think, yeah, I just want to formally propose, and hopefully somebody will second.
Do we have a seconder for this recommendation?
Mic check.
This is seconded by Councillor Cooper. Thank you. Now, does anybody want to debate this motion? No. No debate required, I think. Thank you. Proposer, so Councillor Philippa-Rivers, do you want to sum up? You said everything you want to say. Thank you. Can we agree the recommendation? Okay. Thank you. Congratulations. don't think you get a chain, sadly. Okay, we move on to item 10 on our agenda, which is the report of the leader of the council. Councillor Philipova Rivers, would you like to address the council?
I hope I can. Can you hear me?
A little bit further away.
Further away? Some teething problems with the tech here. No, it's either echoey or... How is it? Yeah? Is that good? There's a little bit of an echo. So you think it's maybe too close? Okay. All right then. So I was told by Stephen Corrigan that I don't have a time limit, but he said within reason. So I do feel the pressure a little bit. Just first of all, I want to thank my cabinet. I am only the face of the operation, and so they have very helpfully suggested some nice things to update you all on. But the first, and I think really important one to keep an eye on is our work in terms of local government reorganisation and devolution. So since the consultation ended, our officers have been really busy. I know it seems quiet on the face of it, but they certainly haven't been sitting on their laurels. So a lot of the work has focused on things such as baselining, so collecting data as advised by MHCOG, and establishing what they're calling work streams such as finance, HR, contracts, customer, and IT, etc. And I think this will become really important following decision to ensure that we can really hit the ground running when it comes to the transition process. There's also been some work to establish program management. What that means is which offices will do what. The offices that are part of this are across all Oxfordshire councils, not just our councils. Everybody's working really collaboratively. There has also been some analytical work in terms of the decisions on LGR made elsewhere, less so about the kind of decisions themselves, but what it means in terms of the structural change order and what that means for us. And finally, you'll be happy to know that they have been doing some resource planning. So as you remember, we put quite a significant amount of money in order to ensure that the transition doesn't impact existing services. And so there has been a little bit of that happening as well. So you may not hear a lot, but work is very much happening because I think there is a lot of commitment from across, all cabinets in Oxfordshire, but also a lot of officers themselves that we do this as seamlessly as humanly possible. Devolution. So there has been quite a lot of engagement since my last report in terms of devolution. So this is the potential creation of a strategic authority that will sit over the top of the Thames Valley. I would say that the inclusion of Swindon in the geography has remained a really thorny issue. There have been concerns raised by some councils around the fact that they're not part of health, they're not part of the police, but also in terms of what it could mean for rural deprivation, given that Swindon is a town with quite significant needs when you look at the indices of multiple deprivation. All the while in Oxfordshire, we also have pockets of deprivation which rank in the top 20 in the country as well. So there's been some communication with the now ex-minister about this, and it became very clear that they're seeking unanimity across the Thames Valley, which, as far as I can tell, is not possible. So I remain of the view that the kind of path of least resistance to get us to a strategic authority would be for Oxfordshire and Berkshire to go it alone for the time being. There's been, moving on to planning policy. I'm sure you're all keeping on top of emails about this, but having salvaged the joint local plan from the brink, it is progressing well in examination. We have been told that we will have a third inspector, which is quite new, and we are very happy to hear that the next set of hearings will take place in early July. So all being well, we hope to be in a position to adopt the joint local plan early next year. But at the same time, government in their infinite wisdom, have decided that we need to get going on a new JLP, or potentially JLP, on a new local plan as soon as possible, before even the adoption of the joint local plan, which is an examination. So that will require the council to give a notice of commencement, and you will have probably seen that we're having a special council meeting to do that. So I've been told also by the Cabinet Member for Planning Policy that our neighbourhood plans coverage is really significant, and that includes those who have adopted neighbourhood plans, including those that are going through the process at the moment, and that stands at 61, which is really significant. I don't know exactly what percentage that is of the total, but maybe we can pick that up over sandwiches later. And in terms of garden communities, there has been really quite a significant momentum in terms of delivering projects. You will have seen the Cow Lane on the pass, and among others, and I'm happy to report that there's quite a few of the OCC-led projects that seem to be moving as well. So waste news, I think you'll be happy to know bins are going to be collected come July. BIFA a contract has been signed between us and BIFA. It is not been an easy process, and I really want to thank officers for their hard work getting us over the line just in time. There has been some confusion around the length of that contract, and just to clarify, it is minimum of 8 years, maximum of 16, with a break clause after 4. And the reason it's been set up like that is to give the successor authority as much flexibility as possible to do whatever they want to do, whether they want to insource or have a joint contract, so that they can do that with relative ease. And just earlier today, I myself completed the, what is it called again? The survey, the Waste and Street Cleansing Annual Survey. I have come to realize that people feel really passionately about street cleansing, and Councillor Sadler is probably the one person who contacts me very regularly about street cleansing. And so I just wanted to say, please do share it widely. It is an opportunity for us to understand what we do well and perhaps where improvements can be made. We can always do better. So one theme that we don't talk about enough, or certainly some people do, is economic development. And over the past few months, Councillor Rawlings, together with his counterparts in the other districts and County Council, have been working on a future economic strategy for Oxfordshire. And that is very much because it will feed into the potential strategic authority, but also link up with some of the kind of national dynamics as well. And following a lot of discussion and iteration, Enterprise Oxfordshire, this is the ex-LEP, as some of you will remember it, are now bringing forward an emerging white paper to consider what the priorities are. And there is evidence that this is really changing, so there is a new and better thinking. So you will remember it's quite a contentious subject because it involves housing growth, but the white paper acknowledges substantial infrastructure constraints within Oxford and Oxfordshire, but it also recognises that the growth plan should be focused on productivity and GVA, not just crude growth of jobs, population and housing. And so this narrower focus would enable some actual delivery to take place. And I have to say, it also may mean that perhaps we won't hear quite as much about GVA from Councillor Rawlings going forward. But jokes aside, huge thanks for Lee. He has been relentless in his engagement. It is an important piece of work, and so if you want to know more or indeed contribute to it, please do get in touch with him, but I cannot be held responsible for the length of that response. So quick news on housing, and we are progressing well with purchases of housing. We were very lucky that we got a top-up to the latest round of the so-called Local Authority Housing Fund, which I think would enable us to buy 2 or 3, 4 more houses, something along those lines. But hot off the press today, we have heard that we have secured around 1.1 million from Homes England to take forward the Broadway project. This is the kind of missing amount that we had. The Broadway project is also known as Councillor Arlett's favourite project. So be happy to know that hopefully, obviously grant agreements, etc. have to be signed, but there shouldn't be any further delay to what is a very delayed project. Homelessness prevention rate stands at 82%. This is really significant. I think the average is about 50 to 60. I can't remember off the top of my head. 57. All right. Got it. So 82 is really significant. And just a plea, please do share information about the Renters' Rights Act. It came into effect earlier this month. It's got really positive implications for renters, but also some implications for landlords. And so it would be really good to kind of make sure that our residents are as informed as possible on that. And really credit where credit is due. I think it won't solve all the problems, but it goes a long way to make rented accommodation much more certain. So grants, as per usual, just to say that you have all done a brilliant job sharing information about grants. They have been oversubscribed, which is really excellent to see. We have, if you kind of add them all up, we're at about just under 2 million of grants that we invest in communities annually. And we don't know what will happen with the successor authorities. So please do encourage your communities, especially some of the smaller parishes, to apply so that they can build some capacity whilst we have them. And just very finally, I promise there is really profound reform happening, not just in local government, but health, the police as well. And it has really prompted me that we need to have a think about how our representatives on those external bodies report back to council. Some of the changes, certainly around health, that I have seen are concerning for me personally. And so I am sure that all of us would like to know a little bit more about what is happening in that space. So we are reviewing those reporting and how we engage with those bodies. But we are also looking at the champion roles as well, which I think it's fair to say we've dropped the ball a little bit. And perhaps it's just the way that they're set up. So we want to look at those and really make the best of the time that those volunteer councillors are giving to us. So this is it. Oh, just really quickly, if you haven't signed up for your pensions, those that are under 75 can do so now. I think it's really happy development, and it really just sends a message that councillors are valued and their work is valued.
Thank you, Councillor Philippa-Rivers. Move on. Item 11, Oxfordshire Leaders Joint Committee update. Council is invited to receive the update report included in the supplementary papers. Are there any questions relating specifically to that update report? Councillor Bennett.
Just wanted to show that I had read the report. No, joking aside, some of these are a lot of very important stuff does go to this committee, and obviously we only have one representative, which is the leader. Thank you for doing that. Of course, the joint leader makeup may be changing slightly in the imminent weeks. But my question was, one of the groups that reported to your last meeting was the Oxfordshire Inclusive Economy Partnership, which I used to attend when I was on Cabinet. Firstly, I wondered, do we send a councillor to those meetings? Does you go, do you, Lee? That's good. And because I saw if there's any reflections on the Partnering for Inclusive Employment report that was brought, because it looked interesting and relevant to what we're talking about later on tonight. Well, in the motion, it seems relevant to the motion. But yeah, that's my question.
So just to say really briefly, Councillor. I did press it. He was missed off the invite, so he has only just started. I don't know whether you managed to attend the last one, but I did the last one. Oh, okay. So I'll let you respond then. Sorry. Do you want to respond?
Sorry, just to say, I missed I was at the last one, but I will miss the next one because I'll be away on holiday at that time.
You want to ask the question?
No, I was just asking about the Partnering for Inclusive Employment report that came to it. But sorry, we can pick it up afterwards. It's not essential to be answered here.
If there are no further questions, can we note the report?
Can I make a quick comment?
Thank you. Next item is questions on notice, and I can confirm that we have received no questions tonight. But we do have 2 motions on notice, so we shall move on to those now. 2 motions to consider. Motion 1 is, I believe, being proposed by Councillor Heritage, yes? And just before you speak, is the motion seconded? By Councillor Keats-Rohan, thank you. Councillor Heritage, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Well, Healthwatch Oxfordshire, it's the independent champion for people who use health and social care services in our county. I'm going to start by admitting that this motion is very much in collaboration with my Vale Cabinet member counterpart, Councillor Helen Pighills, who recently submitted the same motion to her council. We share the same positive experience of Healthwatch's contribution in Oxfordshire, the same strength of feeling about its value, and the same concerns about this valuable voice should it be lost. So for those who may not have a background on Healthwatch, it was set up in 2013 under the Health and Social Care Act 2012. It operates as an independent charity funded by central government through a contract with Oxfordshire County Council, and its purpose is simple but vital: to ensure that NHS leaders, social care providers and decision makers hear and act upon the patient's voice. Healthwatch reaches people through being out and about on the streets, at events and hospitals, via paper and online surveys, and through focused enter and view visits. It reaches out to communities, including those who are often unheard. Healthwatch engages with asylum seekers. It supports the voice of adults with learning disabilities. It actively reaches out to communities that often don't come forward. And importantly, in Oxfordshire, it listens to people living in rural areas whose life and health experiences can be very different to that of city and town dwellers. I sit on the Health Improvement Board and the Health and Wellbeing Board, and I see firsthand the vital contribution that Healthwatch makes in our area. Their reports identify areas of concern for us. They respond to and help to shape the health priorities in our county. An example to give you, Healthwatch Oxfordshire, they produce an annual impact report, and they stated in 24 to 25 that 5,321 people had shared their experiences of health and social care services. 344 people approached Healthwatch for advice about local health issues, and 577 people submitted a review of their experience of using these services via the feedback centre. In the same year, Healthwatch made 11 enter and view visits, including to hospital units, care homes, a pharmacy and a GP practice. And they produced reports based on their research, setting out what improvements people would like to see to local services, ranging from eye care services to GP practices and pharmacies. And these reports were shared with decision makers to help inform and influence the development of these services. So to move on a bit, the future of Healthwatch now is under threat. The government commissioned DASH report on patient safety in 2025 recommended transferring the work of Healthwatch England to a new directorate for patient experience within the Department of Health and Social Care. It recommended that the statutory functions of local Healthwatch relating to healthcare should be combined with the involvement and engagement functions of integrated care boards, and that the statutory functions of local Healthwatch relating to social care should be transferred to local authorities. In October 2025, the chair of Oxfordshire HOSC wrote to Oxfordshire MPs to seek their support in ensuring that Oxfordshire continues to benefit from an independent patient voice. A letter from government to local MPs reiterated the intention to abolish Healthwatch and to transfer its functions to the NHS. Yesterday's King's speech confirmed the direction of travel. And while acknowledging the importance of a patient voice, it did not acknowledge the importance of an independent voice. There were several references to Health Watch in the King's Speech Lobby report. For example, it was noted that according to Health Watch England's May 2025 report, nearly 1 in 4 adults have noticed inaccuracies or missing details in their medical records, such as incorrect personal details, inaccurate records of medication, diagnoses, treatments and conditions. Over 1 in 4 of those who have noticed inaccuracies say they've had to repeat their patient history. Now, this data is just one example of the value of Health Watch's independent reporting and the way in which they reach out to communities. The proposed transfer to ICBs risks the loss of that independent patient voice, weakening the ability of residents to influence decisions affecting their health and well-being. It will especially weaken the voice of those in the community who are seldom heard anyway, those people who Health Watch Oxfordshire reach out to in their community engagement. So this motion is not about resisting change for its own sake. It's about ensuring that Oxfordshire continues to benefit from a trusted, independent body that amplifies the voice of patients and service users. So I'm asking this council to support this motion to continue to oppose the abolition of Health Watch and to support the work of Oxfordshire County Council to safeguard the local independent voice on health. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heritage. Councillor Keats-Rohan, as the seconder, would you like to speak now or would you like to reserve your right? Could you put your microphone on, please?
Yeah, I'm very happy to second this proposal. The value of healthcare lies in its independence of official bodies and its groundedness in the community. It is a trusted and valued contributor to each meeting of the Joint Health Oversight Scrutiny Committee, the JHOSC, on which I represent this council, providing the valuable insights on patient experience that we do not get from the Integrated Care Board as Health Commissioner or the NHS Foundation Trust as providers. As a long-standing patient partner in clinical research, I know the value of the patient voice in shaping cutting-edge research that delivers real clinical benefit, cost-effective to the NHS, and that the body that funds much of it, the National Institute of Health and Social Care Research, has made the patient voice essential to the process. The NHS Charter, too, requires that patient care is done with the patient and not to the patient. I also know from bitter current experience what a mess the NHS is in. I'm having an abundance of attendance currently following recent emergency plastic surgery at the JR to repair a ruptured tendon in my right hand caused by out-of-control rheumatoid that has not been managed well for over 2 years. The rheumatology service is currently overwhelmed and underserving both patients and their GPs. I've discovered that the issues include 2 recruitment freezes, and now that some posts are being re-advertised, the high cost of living in Oxford is putting off potential applicants as well as causing existing staff to leave. The excellent clinical staff involved in patient care cannot be happy with this state of affairs. For the patient who does not want to make a formal complaint or to sue, the best recourse is to report the issues to Health Watch, which has statutory powers to probe areas of concern and to flag them to health bodies, including JHOSC. Health Watch is also a key ally of JHOSC in its endeavours to urge co-production with patients on the ICB and the NH trusts, with the biggest win so far being the redevelopment of Wantage Community Hospital. Abolishing Health Watch and handing its functions to the ICB is the equivalent of marking one's own homework. It does not inspire confidence that the patient voice will be adequately heard and acted upon, rather the reverse. Oxfordshire residents need and deserve an independent body like Health Watch that amplifies the voice of patients and service users transparently and without bias. And I would ask you to support the motion.
Thank you. Right, we can open up the motion for debate. Councillor MacDonald, I think, was first there.
Chair, unfortunately, I think I have a I believe I have a potential conflict of interest. So unfortunately, I can't take part in the discussion and debate as much as I might like to, or voting.
we'll note that.
Okay.
Chair. Well, withdrawing from that, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you for that. Councillor Giles.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on the new role. I'll be very brief. I just say I'm very supportive of this motion. I just want to flag one potential concern with it, though. Under Resolves 4, it's asking us to write to a non-existent person. I just want to query whether we should be concerned or happy about that, because there's no longer a Secretary of State for Health. Thank you.
I'm sure we can take that away and find somebody to write to. Okay, I think we have Sam, Councillor Casey Rare-Eye, and then Councillor Snowden. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to just support this motion. I'm glad you've brought it, even though it's quite unusual to bring it to annual meetings. I think it's an important motion, and actually it was one I wasn't aware of, so thank you for bringing it and making us aware of this. You know, you articulated really well why this is so important, and it's all about an independent voice. Moving it to the ICB and or the county council doesn't seem to underline the nature of what Health Watch is all about, which is about being an independent voice. And I think at a time when trust in institutions is going down, I think it's really important to have bodies like this, and putting them inside the institution itself, like Councillor Keats Rohan says, is a bit very much like actually marking your own homework. And you know, if you didn't know what Health Watch does, they've actually got quite a good website, and I've just been sort of scrolling through it, and you know, the things they've done really does show how they stand up for minorities and people with significant health needs. They've done a study on trans people's experiences of using GP services last October, something on using women using health services, where they spoke to 684 women. And as a result, they created a new webpage, for example, on chronic pelvic pain. You know, they've done things on navigating urgent and emergency care services and hearing from men, specifically in Oxfordshire. I think it's a valuable institution, and I really support the point you've made about, I'll just go back to the motion, supporting Oxfordshire County Council's decision to work with partners to create a local independent voice on health if Health Watch as an institution is abolished. So thank you for bringing this, and I do support it.
Councillor Snowden?
Yeah, I'm going to support the motion, but no councillor here should underestimate the difficulty that residents find navigating health and care services, particularly the elderly and, as mentioned, the rural communities. And independence is very important. But I'd like to know how effective this system really is. I mean, Councillor Ray has just given a couple of examples there, but if we're defending Health Watch, we should also ask honestly whether the current arrangements are delivering the measurable improvements for patients. My thoughts are, I've done some research and I tried at home, but how many recommendations made by Health Watch Oxfordshire were actually implemented last year? What evidence is there that patient outcomes have actually improved because of Health Watch's intervention? We should be careful not to drift into areas where the council has limited powers and responsibilities. Residents do believe that councils have unwielding powers, and when we move motions like this, they think it's set in stone. We've approved it, so therefore it's going to stay. I mean, Councillor Morgan made promises about GP surgery up on Greveston Park, and people generally believe that we had the power to deliver it, and clearly we didn't. One other issue, slight issue, and this is, I appreciate it's only a slight thing, but I'd like to amend it actually, where you say support any national campaign seeking to protect Health Watch. You know, that forces the council to commit to support any group that comes out, you know, whether that's a partisan group like the far right or the far left come out and suddenly say we support them. That council has to weigh in behind them. So I prefer it to have said something along the lines like engage constructively with national discussions regarding future independence of patient representation. Some wording where we can we've got an out if some scrupulous group get involved in using Health Watch going forward. Residents expect practical accountability, not merely symbolic motions, which is, it's great to show our support, but I think it weighs into as if we're some sort of decision maker here. And it is great to have groups like Health Watch. I do support them massively, and independence does matter, but effectiveness matters too. And if an independent patient advocacy is to carry on, it must be genuinely independent, transparent, and effective for residents across Oxfordshire. As I say, I will support the motion, but I really appreciate a slight amendment just for a caveat. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Councillor Owain would also like to make a few comments.
Just briefly, I was for a while the Oxfordshire District Council's representative on the Integrated Care Partnership, which is where Health Watch also sit. And we were pretty much the only non-health professionals on the Integrated Care Partnership. And so, whilst I take the point about measuring which specific recommendations have been taken up, the fact that having a Health Watch person in the room as the Integrated Care Board was making its recommendations, say about GPs or about dentistry, was immensely useful. And I'm not, I think that body would be the worse for not having the patient voice in the room.
Yeah, I'll just check. No, once the councillor has spoken to the motion, then that is their one opportunity to do so. The rules on timings, as are known, are fairly strict, and I appreciate that can be quite difficult, Chair, for all concerned, but I'm afraid so.
I would just like to check, Councillor Snowden, were you proposing an amendment to the motion, or are you happy to go with the motion as it is and maybe discuss? What amendment would you like to propose? You did suggest an amendment to some wording.
Any national campaign.
May I?
Could you suggest an alternative?
I'd rather, to engage constructively with any national discussions regarding the future of independent patient representation.
Yeah, so you're proposing this amendment. Does anybody want to second that amendment to this motion? Can I ask, is anybody prepared to second that amendment that Councillor Snowden has proposed?
Can we move on, Chair?
No, okay, we will then move. So that amendment falls and we move on to the debate, continue the debate. Councillor Worgan, would you like to turn your microphone on?
So in the spirit of Councillor Snowden's discussion there, I think if we add the word appropriate, I think it solves the issues that Councillor Snowden raised. So if we had all appropriate ones, I believe that would cover the issue that Councillor Snowden raised. I'll allow Councillor Snowden to indicate whether he thinks that's right or not.
Could I just confirm that I'd be happy with that if Councillor Snowden is?
Yeah.
So Chair, just to help with that then, so that's now become an accepted amendment, therefore it doesn't need a seconder and it can be included as now will be treated as the original motion, and we can just proceed to any further debate and hopefully a fairly swift vote.
Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Rawlins, swiftly.
Thank you, Chair. We choose in this country to have an NHS and not a free market. health system. I'm a great supporter of that. But I think with that decision come certain risks. And it is important that the voice of the patient, the voice of the consumer is recognised. We know in the past that there have been systemic problems. We know that there have been some serious scandals within the NHS, and it is important that there is an independent patient voice. If it seems to me that some of what's being proposed is tantamount to somebody saying, let's abolish the Independent Office for Police Conduct and hand these matters back to the local police forces and the local chief constables. And I think we all know that there's lots of experiences in lots of different spheres that suggest that having an independent organisation is really important. And so I very much want to support this motion and everything that sits behind it. Obviously, its architect has stood down from his role today, but I hope there might be chance for some fresh thinking.
Thank you. I see no other hands. So, Councillor Heritage, would you like to sum up your motion?
Thank you, Chair. Just very, very briefly, because I think I gave quite an extensive explanation of my motion, but I would just like to sum up to say that I do appreciate this is an unusual motion for a district council, and I do appreciate that our voice is limited somewhat. But I am the representative for public health for this council, so we do have a voice, and I'm choosing to use that voice in this council because we should be using it constructively. I would also like to comment on Councillor Snowdon's question of how Health Watch is held to account. How do we, how are their what organisations assess their figures and assess their success rate? And I would just like to mention that they are scrutinised by HOSC, so HOSC holds them to account. So there is a body to perform that. And I don't think I need to add much more to that, except to say that I'm very grateful that the room thus far has appreciated the value of this independent voice, and I just thank you very much for the debate, and I hope you'll support the motion.
Thank you. Council, can we agree this motion? I think that's well and truly agreed. Thank you. So we move on to motion 2. Councillor Ruane, would you like to propose your motion? You're going to propose?
Yeah.
And is the motion seconded? Councillor Bennett, thank you.
Thank you. This, as you'll see from your agenda, this motion was originally proposed by Councillor Gregory, but in her absence, I've agreed to move it. Legislation allows public authorities in England, when making decisions of a strategic nature, to have due regard to the desirability of exercising their functions in a way that is designed to reduce inequalities of outcome, which result from socio-economic disadvantage. The duty is focused on outcomes associated with poverty, low income, insecure work, education, housing and place. It is distinct from the public sector equality duty in that it is not limited to protected characteristics. It does not require public bodies to eradicate poverty, but it does require conscious, proportionate and evidenced consideration of whether strategic decisions may worsen or reduce socio-economic inequalities. The duty has been in force in Scotland and Wales for some time, and evidence shows that effective implementation is achieved by embedding these considerations into existing processes rather than treating the duty as a standalone requirement. The Council already meets the core intent of the socio-economic duty through existing governance, equality impact assessment, promoting of the real living wage, workforce development and wellbeing activity. This motion does not make extravagant demands, but gives policy backing to processes already being considered and asks the Cabinet and senior management to consider how to embed these into the Council's activities. I'm grateful to senior officers for their support in putting together this motion and hope that the Council will also support it.
Thank you, Councillor Rain. Councillor Bennett, would you like to speak now or reserve your right?
I'm happy to speak now. And thanks for the opportunity to second the motion. I have to confess, I was not paying attention to the Act in 2010, having been yet to get involved in local or national politics. But you know, the context of what this part of the Act is about is very much why I'm in politics now. The ward that I represent has, I think, the steepest divides socioeconomically of any ward in the district. And two of the, I know you'll all know what I mean when I say lower super output area. It's nothing to do with Marvel superheroes, but it's sadly it is to do with granular socioeconomic and other data about disadvantage. And it doesn't just cover socioeconomic factors, it also covers things like access to green spaces and things like that, which is another rabbit hole we can go down another time, because there's some surprising places that score very low on that in our district that you might think wouldn't, including one in Henley. And of course, there are pockets of deprivation, as has already been mentioned, in many of our wards. But it's interesting, I did start researching the background to this Act, and many of you have probably read the book The Spirit Level, about the impact of inequality on health, and that came out in 2009. So probably I can imagine that was definitely a hot topic in 2009. And the odd thing is that the Act was passed by the Gordon Brown government in 2010. Of course, Gordon has just come back into politics like this week. I've forgotten what his role is. Mocky will tell us later what his role is. But it's, I mean, the only thing I would say to my Lib Dem colleagues is I'm not quite sure why the coalition government didn't enact it then, because the regional governments did. The English government, as it were, did not. But it's as Councillor Owain says, as a council, we already, I think, do cover this Act. And actually, a lot of the work that goes on in the Garden Communities team, because it's focusing on Didcot and Berensfield, a lot of the work they do is actually around health and the wards that's the area, or sorry, the lower super output areas that score the lowest or are in the bottom 2 or 3 deciles are mostly in Berensfield or Didcot. So we, in a sense, we do have a big council work stream that is working on this and has been for some years. And a lot of the work as those projects have developed has been around health inequalities, and actually getting now the county council with their area profiles, which are actually a really useful tool, and actually bringing a lot of funding in from other sources now. I did also look at, there's actually a few kind of third sector organisations that have been pushing for years to get the UK government to adopt this duty properly. And I saw some interesting examples, like Harborough District Council talked about the Act relates to strategic choices, not just sort of micro choices, but in Harborough, which there's work that's focused on the impact that debt can have on mental health. And obviously sometimes as councils, we do collect council tax. We've talked about that in recent meetings. So, there's areas where this Act could have an impact on our work that we haven't considered yet. Where there they offer those residents that are facing debt hardship, which is often compounded. I mean, I can think of a resident right now that I'm in dialogue with, and it's not just council tax that will be causing that hardship. But often, if you've got one type of debt, you've usually got several other types as well. And in Harborough, they offer mental health support for people facing debt. So that's an interesting one. So I'm sure there are some new work streams that might come out of this, but I don't think it commits the council to anything unduly complex. And I would hope that colleagues will be happy to voluntarily adopt it. 47 local councils in England have voluntarily adopted it, mostly in the northwest, but not so many in the southeast. So I think it would be a nice one to adopt. And thanks to Kate, who's not here, for bringing it to our attention.
Well done, just in time. I think Councillor Philippa-Rivers, you want to speak? Councillor Snowdon, Councillor Giles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to support the proposal of adoption of socioeconomic duty. I think we must be really clear that this isn't about the work of the council and the projects that we do. It is about decisions we make, which may, cut across planning, development, all of the various leisure centres. It is about ensuring that we have due regard for, the impact those decisions have on people who face socioeconomic disadvantage. So it is not about redistributing, it is about ensuring that we do not reinforce it. So the socioeconomic duty, as it's been mentioned, is contained in Section 1 of the Equalities Act. And for those of you who are interested in what exactly it says, when making decisions of a strategic nature about how to exercise their functions, public bodies seek to exercise them in such a way as to reduce the inequalities of outcome which result from socioeconomic disadvantage. So we're certainly not the first one, as has been mentioned. 47 councils in England from across the political spectrum have adopted it, as have Scotland and Wales. So it's fairly tried and tested thing to do. It's not there to kind of create additional work, but it's just about making better decisions. And I think some examples have just been given by Councillor Bennett, but it could be that, a new digital platform may exclude people or reinforce disadvantage in some way. It could be that, our permit system, perhaps it's not, it can in some way also reinforce that. So it is very much about just ensuring that something that I know that probably our councillors when our officers when undertaking, the impact assessments that you can see on all of your reports, at the very end, hopefully you get to that end bit. There's climate assessments and there is equality impact assessments. So effectively, in addition to the existing, can somebody remind me, is it 7 or 8 protected characteristics? Okay, I don't feel so bad about not knowing. So we have an additional one, which is this disadvantage that we just mentioned. So it will force officers, but also councillors to hold ourselves accountable. And yes, that may mean that sometimes we'll have to make difficult decisions, but it's about then ensuring that we have ways to mitigate potentially that negative impact on those very people. So, and hopefully I'm using this wording correctly, adopting it provides a statutory basis for moving consideration of socioeconomic disadvantage for something that councils may choose to consider to something that they are expected to consider. I think hopefully Nick is nodding, so that sounds good. And I'll tell you 2 reasons why I really like it. First of all is we have ongoing cost of living crisis, and I think we should do all that we can that we are not part of it, that we are not part of the problem and for the hardship that people are experiencing. And the second one, I thought it would be really good to leave that as one of the as our legacy to the successor authority. So hopefully they will adopt it as well, having kind of piloted it or tried it for a period of time, because I certainly believe that all of us would like to think that we are not inadvertently causing harm.
Thank you. Councillor Snowdon.
I know Ken's going to be fuming that his sandwiches are getting cold, but and I'm sure you'll greatly miss me at the budget meeting because I know I was upset for missing it. No one disputes that there are pockets of deprivation in South Oxfordshire. As Councillor Bennett said, 2 of the most deprived areas in my ward. And obviously got rural isolation, housing costs and transport barriers, etc. But when I was reading this, my first thought was, why is it we need this new duty is needed? Obviously the other side of me thinking this is just a comms opportunity, but this council already has powers to tackle disadvantage, and the question I have is what additional duties duty achieves in this practice. So a couple of quick questions that if Councillor Rain can answer in this summing up. What specific actions cannot currently be taken without adopting this motion or duty? What practical outcomes will change? And is this primarily a symbolic thing to for residents, or is it actually operational? Will there be changes to policy? I will support it, obviously, because I think it's, but I can understand why we don't, what benefit it's going to add, because we still have, what new tools does it give us to tackle the disadvantagement in our communities, really, is what I'm trying to say. So if you could just answer those questions, I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll take Councillor Giles, Councillor Turner, Councillor Gordon-Creed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Owain, for bringing this forward, and indeed for colleagues, and Councillor Bennett for supporting it and putting it forward. I think many of us are here to try and reduce poverty and help life chances and give people opportunities. So I would imagine everybody will be very supportive. I was pleasantly surprised to hear Councillor Snowden will be moving over to the left wing of politics. So it sounds like it'd be a slam dunk all round. So that's grateful to hear that. I mean, and I don't want to take away some of Councillor Rain's thunder when he tries to address some of the points, but I mean, I think Cabinet will have the opportunity to try and, with the support from officers, to actually give a definition of what this will be. And it will obviously include the obvious measures of poverty plus other things, and then it will then have the opportunity then to try and embed that in our decision making. And I'm no doubt it will improve services for people who are facing challenge. And I think I'm surprised that that's a line being pursued. And in the spirit of collaboration, I will say we're grateful to Labour colleagues for proposing this some 16 years ago, and I think we're just grateful today to put some lead in your pencil.
Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your new appointment. Item 3 in the preamble refers to rural deprivation. If you're deprived in a rural area, you're even more deprived because you have access to very little. I remember when I was a county councillor, for instance, the Short Start money to produce the children's centres. I remember speaking a lot about that at the time, and it took 3 years into the programme before it was rolled out into the rural areas. So, yeah, I really hang on to item 3 and in the preamble. As I said, if you're deprived in a rural area, you're even more deprived.
Well said, Councillor Turner. Councillor Gordon-Creed.
Thank you, Chair, and also congratulations to everyone this evening. This may be simplistic, but in my mind, it addresses a bit of what Councillor Snowden was asking. That adopting this policy allows a statutory element for more nuance in decision making, possibly, because that has occurred a few times in my term, where someone is at a disadvantage and there's no leeway in terms of policy for decisions to be made to account for maybe disadvantages that should be accounted for more. And so really for that, that it just offers a statutory opportunity for slightly more nuance rather than just hitting the straight lines of this is the policy and that's it and that's all about it. So that's all I would say. And that's just answering Councillor Snowden's question. For me, the support of this is a collective positive. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I see no other people wishing to speak. Oh, Councillor Tinsley, go on. Sandwiches are waiting.
Thank you and congratulations. I'd just like to say that one of the things that I deal with a lot in my life and career is sustainability, and the key element of that is environmental and socially economic decision making. And I wouldn't be doing my duty as a good environmental scientist if I didn't say this will enable more holistic decision making and stop some of the grey areas being overlooked. So fully welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Owain, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thanks to everyone. I think supports the thrust of this. To answer the one issue that has been raised, Councillor Snowden's asked, what can we do now? What can we do after this motion that we can't do before? And the answer is nothing. But the question isn't whether we can do it; it's whether we should do it. I've had a very long briefing note from the head of corporate services who says quite often we already do this, but what this does is it puts a requirement on to do it on each occasion, not just on the ones where it seems like an obvious thing to do. So it's giving a policy backing to best practice which currently exists within the council, but ensuring that best practice becomes common practice.
Thank you, Councillor Rain. Council, can we agree this motion? Agreed. Thank you, councillors, and I therefore declare this motion closed. This motion's meeting. It's meeting. Hi, Susie.